All right, Tyler Perry fans. Now, let's see, what is it? Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night, August 16th, when I'm recording this. Last night, just a short story. Last night, I couldn't get any sleep. I was at home for like 5 days. I got back to my apartment. Wednesday morning, and I brought some stuff back with me, had to unpack, do laundry amongst other things, and get myself straight, because I'm the kind of person, and let me know in the comments, are you the kind of person where you're not like OCD or anything, but you like everything to be in order before you start working on something? Like, I had a bunch of like Dragon Ball trading cards to go through. Like, I'm selling stuff on eBay. Definitely check me out. Link in my description below to my eBay where I'm selling stuff. I had about a box, yeah, 2 boxes of action figures and things like that to go through as well. Stuff from my childhood, just, organizing, getting stuff ready, getting my room straight again. That way I can sit down, take my notes, get my photos, and do more videos. And I was up until, let's say, maybe 5:30 a.m. And, I was just on YouTube looking at just interviews. I needed background noise when I was cleaning and whatnot. And I came across Tyler Perry speaking at Joel Osteen. Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. Joel Osteen's church. I believe it's what is it? Lakewood Church. Lakewood Church. And there's stuff. I've always heard things about Pastor Joel and his church and things like that, about being about money and everything. Like, personally speaking, I've never really heard him speak or been to the church myself, so I really can't put in my 2 cents, because I really don't know much about it. I just know that it's like a mega church or something like that. So I figured that Tyler Perry was in the title. It was worth watching. And I do believe a couple of days ago on one of the various have and have not Facebook groups that I'm in, not the one I run myself, but one of the groups I'm in, somebody posted a picture of those two, Pastor Joel and Tyler, on the stage together. And then they were talking about, hey, check this out. It's like, Tyler Perry preaching at this church, talking about how he's still a Christian and he drinks and does R-rated content and this and that. And, I really didn't pay much mind to it, because I'm just like, man, Monday, I'm getting ready to get ready for the new have and have not. So I don't have time to go through all these comments, because we live in a day and age, especially with the internet. You all know how it works. People are quick to voice their opinions, and it becomes harder and harder to form our own opinions outside of the influence of other people. Like, whether it's going to see a movie. Usually, people who don't care about spoilers look at the reviews for a movie to determine whether or not they wanted to go. Amazon, you looking at an item that you really want, but then sometimes you see if a lot of people give it 1 or 2 stars and write bad reviews, then you don't want to buy that item. When sometimes you just got to experience something for yourself in order to figure out whether or not it's for you. So with that kind of analogy out of the way, I actually, I believe Tyler spoke for about 20 minutes. And then I think he and Joel had like a 20-minute interview, if you will, together, because I actually saw that the video itself was about 46 minutes long. I actually put a link to it in the description below if you want to go check it out for yourself. And whether or not you agree with what I say in this video, if you're a fan of Tyler Perry, I definitely suggest looking at it, because of the fact that there was some stuff about Tyler that I didn't even know. And, I don't claim to be an expert on Tyler Perry. I just figured that I grew up looking at all the plays, looking at a majority of the plays and movies, and some interviews here and there. So, I thought I had a good idea of who Tyler Perry was and stuff, especially, from where he came from to where he is now. But yeah, there were some interesting things, like even in the first 5 minutes of his message, that I didn't know. Like, during the interview with Joel, there are a lot of common questions, how he came up with certain characters, dealing with failure, fear, and things like that. And I believe the title of his message was Climb and Maintain. Very, very powerful stuff. But I just want to real quick talk about the quote unquote controversy of what he was saying. This is once again, just, the one thing I saw in the Facebook group, when Tyler Perry said, like, hey, I went to seminary, and that really shocked me in my early 20s, and I was preaching at church. That really got to me, because I actually went to seminary myself. Like, whether or not you know this, I actually went to Liberty University from undergraduate all the way through grad school. I worked there 3 years in a call center job at the online department until, last year when I quit and started doing YouTube full time. But to really quickly go through the list: minor in biblical studies, associates in religion, bachelor's in communications, studying advertising public relation. And that wasn't enough for me, because taking those undergraduate Bible classes, I just wanted more. Like, I grew up in a Baptist church. I've been speaking in church since I was 8 years old. But that's the one thing about the Bible. The more you look into it, the more hungry you get for information and how to properly communicate to others, especially in the world we live in today. So I went to seminary. I actually didn't get ordained. I got all 5 graduate certificates, and I got 2 masters, both religion based. No lie, I actually do have all that, as well as all the debt that was accumulated by it. But all jokes aside, that really stuck out to me. I'm like, well, dang, that's something me and Tyler got in common. Black men doing our things, and I'm in my actually I'm about to turn 27, so I'm in my mid 20s. Well, I guess you could say I'm about to enter my late 20s, whatever you want to say. But in any case, the fact I didn't know that he went to seminary, he preached, didn't really do so well at it, and then decided to work on his plays and whatnot. But during that opening portion of his speech, he was saying that, I make movies and TV shows, but even though some of my shows are maybe non-Christian or R-rated, I'm still a Christian. That's the part that some people are really hung up on. It's the fact that, hey, I'm a Christian, even though I sometimes make non-Christian affiliated work because I'm an artist. That's the part that people are really hung up on. I glanced at the comment section when I first opened the video, and the first couple of comments were about, the whole negative about how can you be a Christian, but you do this and that. And really I only saw a couple comments. Everybody else was like, really, really going on about how great the sermon itself was. So let me just give my thoughts on that one comment he made, because honestly, that one statement he made was the only quote unquote controversial comment. Everything else about his story was flat out amazing. I mean, first of all, who am I to judge? Because he who is without sin cast the first stone. I honestly, and for anybody who's new to the channel and whatnot, I can't stress this enough. I don't work for Tyler Perry. I've never met Tyler Perry. I'm just a fan like everyone else. I just use my YouTube platform to talk about the haves and the have-nots and his other work because I'm a huge fan. So don't think that what I say is biased or, oh, he's only not, going in on Tyler because he wants Tyler to notice him and have him work for his studio and whatnot. That's not it at all. Like I said before, I went to the seminary myself. I was raised a Christian, and honestly, I'm just saying things that are based off what I believe in and how I was raised. Like we're all raised a specific way, and then when we get to a certain age, we come to understand life our own way. We don't always do things the way our parents taught us or whoever raised us. Some people step out of the faith when they get older. Some people stand firm in their beliefs, and it basically their own life experiences. Like we're all raised or by someone, even if there aren't any parental figures in your life. You look towards someone or those around you in order to seek some sort of guidance or just learn by observing and experiencing. But the more experience you get, the more you realize you stand on your own 2 feet and then form your own thoughts, opinions, and beliefs about certain things, whether it be religion, politics, and whatnot. So really, when it comes down to it, what I say isn't meant to be judgmental, because given the fact that, do I think that you can be a Christian yet create R-rated content? Yes. I mean, there's a difference between claiming to be a Christian and then knowingly doing something that's wrong, as opposed to being what's the thing? When you sin, you're forgiven by God, but it's not meant for you to abuse it. So just because you get away with, stealing a lollipop when you're a kid from a store, and then you pray for forgiveness, that doesn't mean because you're forgiven that the next week you should just go steal a Hershey bar and then expect God to forgive you once again. That's kind of abusing the quote unquote agreement, if you will, about God loves us no matter what. Do I feel like it is a bit messed up and a bit compromising for money. Like, I get it that you're an artist, but it's like, I feel that there will be a lot of people after watching not even the entirety of his message slash sermon, but just going off the meat and potatoes of that one thing he said about how he's still a Christian, even though he creates non-Christian R-rated content. I can definitely see a lot of people in the comment sections of this video going in about, well, damn, I'm just kind of quoting what people would say, because trust me, some people really get foul in the comments. Like, damn, how can Tyler Perry claim to be a Christian yet he writes all these homosexual sex scenes and Candace calling a thug on his mother and all these swearing and people drinking and drugs and all this other stuff. He, cross-dressing and stuff like that. I can definitely see where controversy will be, thrown his way based off what he said and what he does. I mean, growing up, I remember my dad, one of his friends, was smoking, and he looked at me and my sister. He was just like, "Yeah, now, you see what I'm about to do? Don't you do it when you grow up." He took out a pack of cigarettes and smoked. That was my dad's friend. I forgot his name, but I think this was like at a family barbecue or something like that. Yeah, I think it was it? Yeah, it was one of the guys my dad grew up with when he went to elementary school and whatnot. And they've been friends ever since. Him and a group of guys. They go to like the racetrack and stuff together. But yeah, it was just one of those things where monkey see, monkey do. But what's that saying? Do what I say, but not as I do, kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like I'm pretty sure growing up, going to church, Tyler Perry heard specific things about how not to live his life and whatnot. But here's my thing, and I hate to sound like I'm rambling and I'm dancing around my words, walking on eggshells. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to put what my thoughts are into a cohesive sentence. There are a lot of Christians out there who get drunk. I mean, like, drinking is not a sin, but what is it? The sin of drunkenness or something? Honestly, I don't drink, so I really couldn't tell you the details. But, and it's, once again, like, I don't drink because really it's a choice. And there are other people like that as well. Maybe they aren't Christians. Maybe they are Christians. Maybe there is a Christian out there who doesn't drink by choice. Maybe not because so much they're a Christian, but because alcoholism runs in their family and things like that. So there are always different factors, but I can understand where he's coming from, because trust and believe, going to Liberty University, I did feel in a lot of ways that the word and anything that was quote unquote secular felt like something bad. Like, oh yeah, if you go into the music industry, because I actually had some friends who were worship majors, and I think they said one of their professors was just like on that first day of class, like, look, if you're studying music to become famous and whatnot, then you should definitely just get up and leave out of this classroom right now, because in this class we study music in order to worship the Lord. I can understand that completely, but at the same time, it's just like going to convocations and whatnot and just hearing like the different speakers and whatnot. Really the ones at the school, like the people running the convocation on that specific day, whether it's a campus pastor or when I'm in a classroom and the professor's teaching. The word secular just made it seem like anything that was non-Christian was automatically bad. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. And that's why I focused on a communications degree, especially in advertising and whatnot. So after I graduated, I had a quote unquote secular degree, if you will, to make a living, because don't get me wrong, I believe in God and I have faith, but I am human, so I have my doubts sometimes. But as Tyler Perry was saying, climb and maintain, keep on reaching for higher heights, keep on working hard and maintain. You got to keep that faith to keep moving forward and hold your position, not doubt yourself, doubt God, and begin to fall. So I really feel that it was a good move for me to get that communications degree, because, well, if not for that, I really wouldn't have had a lot of the strategies that I employ now to get my YouTube videos out there. So really everything works to, his glory, and everything works for a reason. So I don't by any stretch in my dialogue here say that I regret my time at Liberty University, but, everybody has those times where it's one of those, if only I knew then what I know now, things would have been slightly different. Definitely for me, YouTube would have been a part of my life a lot sooner. But in any case, what I'm trying to say is this: just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. And that's completely understandable. But at the same time, knowingly doing stuff that isn't Christian, it is a tough pill to swallow. Just like, in some of his early plays, Tyler Perry, Medea, or even the characters that Tyler Perry wrote in the plays talk about the importance of safe sex and not having babies out of wedlock, to be bastards, have kids after you're married. Yet Tyler Perry himself now has a son of his own and he's not married. So, that made some people raise an eyebrow. And even myself, I actually was a bit, taken aback when he did that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean he's not a Christian. It's just one of those things, like as Barry White said, practice what you preach, kind of thing. So, Christians can be hypocritical, but at the same time, it's like if my YouTube, or for example, let's say my YouTube channel gets to a point where I get a job and I go into advertising. Perfect. What if my YouTube channel gets noticed by a specific company or whatever? It's like, hey, so you've been doing your own solo thing on YouTube for X amount of time and you've got a bunch of degrees and I see you study communication. So why don't you join our marketing firm? Okay. Now I'm a Christian and I'm working in a advertising company, and I mean, it's sad but true, sex sells. Now, would I knowingly direct a commercial or write a campaign where, women are half naked and stuff like that? Honestly, I probably wouldn't. I mean, I really have no inclination to do that. But there's a difference between would I compromise my beliefs for the sake of money? I guess is the best way to put it. Like, let's say if I was on a campaign team for, what, like summer swimwear, like bikinis or something that's like a feminine specific item, or even for men, let's say if I'm trying to promote a product for males and then there are half naked women running up to the males who use the product, would I do that? Probably not. But at the same time, I'm not trying to sound hypocritical myself, but like, let's say I'm working on like a summer wear campaign. Obviously that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't be against, like working or promoting like bikinis or whatnot on women, but not full out porn, that kind of stuff. Like, let's say if my advertising leads to freaking pornography, I definitely feel like that is a huge problem in terms of me still claiming to be a Christian, because I feel like that's inexcusable for myself. I'll feel disappointed in myself than anything else. Like, I trust and believe my mom and whatnot will be disappointed, but at the same time, there are a lot of things you had to question. So Tyler Perry being like a director and writer and whatnot, it does seem a bit controversial for him to especially have the power that he has to knowingly create R-rated content and whatnot and all these sex scenes. And we've talked about it in a bunch of videos and live streams on his channel about how he has been getting a bit too graphic in terms of the representation or misrepresentation of like homosexuals, African-American men and women and things of that nature. So it is a tough pill to swallow when, he says that I'm still a Christian, even though I make all this R-rated and non-Christian stuff. I can definitely see where there is some controversy, but you know what? Like I said before, I can't judge. I'm only human. It's easy for us to say, let's say we're all, well, not everybody, but let's say that the Christians on our level, like the everyday working person, man or woman, it's easy to say, well, you know what? If he was really a Christian, he wouldn't be making that filth. If you were in that position and you were given an opportunity to work on a project and there are some commas behind that dollar sign, could you honestly say that you wouldn't compromise some of your beliefs? That's one of the things I did love about Liberty, because every professor I had in communications had a previous career in that field, whether they were on the news or newspapers and things or advertising firms. And they were saying that in those workplaces, there was always going to be compromises. You could say no, but at the same time, it's like, if I say no, this is a big deal here, and I'm probably getting a new house and things like that. So that's the thing about being a Christian. There's always challenges. There's always, canyons to jump over. learn how to say no, even though there is the temptation of accepting a specific career or making a choice. Because at the end of the day, even though you might get that paycheck, can you really, at the end of the day, still say that you're a Christian? That's the thing. So that's all I have to say on that. I hope that I didn't bore you to death on my details on my thoughts, but really, I can't judge. We've all been in situations like that. But like I said, I feel like the biggest thing is the fact that Tyler Perry has such a huge platform. So what he does reaches pretty much a majority of the world, as opposed to, let's say, Susie, who's a Christian that, you know, works at let's just say like a Food Line or whatever. No, that's a bad example. Like Susan, who works at like a crap at a call center, you know, like I have my own experience in that. And she's not selling sex over the phone. That's not what I'm saying, but she's selling products, you know, whether it be like knives or, you know, kitchenware, just random knickknacks, things that you would need around the house. And, you know, she's told to over exaggerate the product so people can buy it. And when they get it, it's not as good as they paid for, basically lying to make a profit, make a living. Can she still call herself a Christian? Is that no better or worse than Tyler Perry calling himself a Christian, but yet making R-rated content? The choice is yours. I mean, sin is sin no matter what, but I just feel like when you're at a platform at that level, it really is hard to hear and believe that you're still a Christian when you make such controversial content. On the flip side of that, the more he talked about, you know, how he grew up and went on about, you know, having a fear of flying. I've never been on a plane myself, so I can definitely relate to what he was saying there. And that leads to what he was saying about climb and maintain. It really did strike me because I really loved what he was saying. Like I said before, that one controversial statement he said was just one thing, but the rest of the entire message was amazing. Using biblical examples, how it was trial and error with his plays. And my favorite part was when he talked about how he had a voice that said quit when he was working in that job, and how his mom wanted him to work in a call center. My mom wanted me to do the same thing when I moved back home after school. Then I eventually moved to Lynchburg, worked in a call center, but then quit, started doing my own thing. So this sermon actually gave me even more respect for Tyler Perry. And I know you're probably like, Jeremy, the first 20 minutes of this video seems to say the opposite. No. In terms of his work ethic, his faith, and what he wanted to do and where he is now, it really does remind me of me being stuck in a call center, but then realizing that you're only stuck in a situation if you allow yourself to be stuck in a situation. Like, nobody is telling you to say, you know, stay there and whatnot, but at the same time, you need to have a plan. You know, like Tyler Perry quit, but then his plays didn't work. Then he had to go back to another kind of job for a temporary amount of time, leave, and then go back on the road. And then things eventually worked out, but it was trial and error. That's why it's like, you know, when I left my job, it was like, okay, I'm only leaving when it gets to the point where YouTube is going to pay my bills each month. And thankfully, you know, things are just getting bigger and better each month. So that's why I left. When I felt it was time for me to go and do my own thing. And that actually was one of my favorite lines of the, was it part of the sermon or when he was talking with Joel? But either way, it was when he was like, look, just because I quit my job, that doesn't mean go and quit your job. Then you send me a bill saying, Tyler, you told me to quit my job and now you got to pay. No, that's not it at all. It's about that voice inside of your head and your heart. And, that's why that message really stuck with me, because it really takes me back to last year around this time when I went over to a coworker's apartment. Him and a few other friends came over for like a movie night, and, you know, some other coworkers were there, and we were just outside talking. And then it came up about the fact like, yo, man, you're too good to be in this job. You've been here, going on 3 years. You got these skills. You need to go out here and do your own thing. So, you know, I let that marinate for a little bit, and it just really struck me that things weren't getting any better for me at that job. So I got to step out on faith. And that's really what Tyler Perry was saying as well. And around that time when I quit my job, I was really hung on Steve Harvey. I was actually reading the book. What was it? You know, what is it? Think Like a Man. That's right. what is it? Think like a man, act like a lady. But it was the other version of that with success, like think like a success, be like a success. I got 2 copies of the book. I got them at Sam's Club. But then I was looking at his interviews and whatnot on like Oprah, talking about sometimes you got to jump, take that leap of faith, and don't. And really, it comes down to stop complaining about your situation if you're not doing anything to change it. Like, that's what one thing I learned about the call center, dealing with so many frustrated students. If you took even a portion of the time you are taking to call in and yell and curse and complain, we can actually come up with a solution with your problem. So I really, really enjoyed this message. Like, if I heard that message last year around this time from Tyler Perry, I would have quit my job around the same time. It's like, you got to climb and maintain. Just take that leap of faith, keep moving forward. And Tyler Perry's like, again, despite the whole Christian R-rated content stuff, I just look at him as an example. Same thing with like Jerry Falwell. Like, I heard some shady stuff about Dr. Falwell Sr., who passed away about a year or so before I even went to the university myself. I didn't know him as a person. I only know his work. And then the fact that he was a man of faith, stuck to his guns and made it to where his dreams for the university have exceeded anything you can imagine. That was one of my favorite things to do when I was a student on campus. Like when I wasn't in class or whatever, or had days off, or back during that time I was songwriting and whatnot. And I would just go around to like the Jerry Falwell Museum, his resting place on a location called The Hill. They had benches and whatnot. And I would just love going to those places for inspiration. I was like, look, this man followed his dreams, but more importantly, kept the faith. And look, he created something that outlasted even him. That's one thing, he's always going to be remembered for. Creating such a great university. Like, say what you will about it now, because there is some stuff I don't like about it now that's being done, but that doesn't take away from my experiences and how I feel about the university, and I love it. It's just one of those things where I don't like how certain things are being done at the moment, but that doesn't diminish or tarnish my time there as a student myself. But yeah, I really do love that Tyler Perry had such a rough upbringing, trials and errors when it came to him going to seminary but it not working out. But then that's one of the most important things I loved about what Tyler Perry was saying, that he pretty much took his ministry and put it in a play format. Now, here's my thing with that. In terms of his R-rated content and whatnot, there's always, as long as there's always that message in there. Like, some people might say like, oh man, Tyler Perry made an R-rated movie, but then he put God and stuff in it. That was just like that parental advisory sticker on music nowadays. Like after Prince did Darling Nikki on Purple Rain, that's when that sticker came into play. It's like, oh man, that's just like a waiver. It's like, oh, here's an R-rated movie, not to shake fans up. Let me throw some Jesus in there so people will know that it's a Tyler Perry film, and also that I'm a Christian. That's not how I feel about it. It's kind of like, sometimes the only way to reach people is to kind of shake things up. Like all the various discussion boards and papers I had to do in seminary about that kind of stuff. Sometimes, like, youth pastors and whatnot, the older generation doesn't like how things are always done. Like, trust and believe, I know there's a time and place for everything. Like, first of all, bringing Drake's In My Feelings song and giving it a Jesus remix is definitely not acceptable. But doing other things that are reasonable in the church, like reaching the youth, you have to evolve in some way, shape, or form. As long as the foundational values that the church has been built upon stays the same, it's not against the grain or anything bad to kind of change things in order to bring in more people. Maybe that's the advertising part of me speaking here, because I studied it, I have experience in it, but sometimes you have to shake it up in order to attract more people. But at the same time, don't lose your current people that you've been working with. So I really do appreciate that, Tyler Perry has been using his platform. I really want to just focus on his earlier stuff, like his plays and movies. Predictable plots, but at the very core of it, there were still those wholesome Christian family values. And yes, as time went on, I admit, you can definitely see that there has been more controversy in his more recent projects, as opposed to, let's say, Medea's Family Reunion, the play, or even House of Pain. because yeah, it is like kind of like, okay, Tyler, what are you doing? I don't really feel like this is like you being genuine. I just feel like maybe you're throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks, or just, being edgy for the sake of reaching out to a bigger audience. I don't know. But overall, guys, I thoroughly enjoyed the like 46-minute long video. Like I said, there's a link in the description below. Regardless of what he said about, creating, but at the same time being a Christian, that's up to interpretation. Like, I really have nothing else to say about it. I've already spoke like 17 minutes on it. I don't feel that this was a waste of time in terms of watching that sermon. I highly recommend, whether or not you like Joel Osteen or Lakeside Church, whether or not you agree or disagree with the statement that Tyler Perry is a Christian despite making so much controversial content, listen to a sermon about climb and maintain. It really is inspiring. So, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope I didn't bore you to death with my just my dialogue, but this was an unscripted video. This is just me. Hey, last night I heard a great sermon. I learned a couple things about Tyler I didn't know. Gives me more respect for him in terms of he's been and in a place that I am now or was like a year ago, and he just kept the faith and kept moving forward. And when he talked about how his mom was like, go get this job, and he was crying, I can relate. Like, sometimes the people who feel like they're protecting you and the people who feel like they're telling you or doing what's best for you don't understand your dream or your destiny, and it really hurts. Because I remember, quick story, this was around the time I was about to finish my bachelor's, and I was on the phone. This was like a couple of days before graduation. I was freaking out. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I'm not going to lie, the first time I went to grad school, it was literally a way to delay the inevitable because I didn't want to face the real world. So I'm like, I'll just go to graduate school. But then I'm glad I actually did. I called my mom because, I think it was like at that time during my first year of college. That's when I really knew that I was on my own now. And I was calling her to, get some reassurance about what to do. And as soon as she answered the phone, I was like, oh, yeah, because so-and-so knows about this job in Norfolk. Well, that came out wrong. Norfolk. In Virginia. And I felt broken by that. And I'll never forget, I was standing outside of the lake. That was another one of my thinking spots. I had about 5 or 6 thinking spots on campus where I'd go to be alone and just think about stuff. Behind the library on campus, yep. And called my mom, and before I can even mutter a word, she's like, Jeremy, somebody at work knows about this job at Norfolk, I can't get the word, Norfolk, Virginia. I know I probably said it wrong, and I was just like, okay. So that was it. I didn't get the job. Well, I didn't go to a job, obviously, because I went to grad school, but it really hurt because it's just like, I was kind of looking for somebody just to talk to listen, because I was feeling some kind of way about graduating, uncertainty, yet you're just going to kick me out of the house before I can even get my thoughts out. So after that, I'm like, I'm going to grad school and just do my own thing. And that's what happened. But so for Tyler to talk about how his mom was, hey, you need to just stop with this dream and go ahead and go to this call center. And I can definitely see why, because, it's one of those things where, look, you tried a bunch of times and you failed. You're throwing your life away. And now just do something that's secure, because I'm not going to let you throw your life away on some uncertain dream. And you should just get some job that's stable. Just do something stable. And that's very, very good, because when you think about it, you can and that's one thing I never want to do, live a life of mediocrity. Like, yes, I'm an introvert. I don't get out much and stuff like that. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to be in a 5-day a week, just a dead end job like I was at the call center. Like, there was some good about it. Like, I love most of the people I was working with, just the idea of helping other people. And really, for me, it was an opportunity to give back. I felt like, God, you know what? I had some crappy advisors, but at the same time, there were some good advisors that helped me out. I had some great professors and counselors and whatnot while I was in school. So for me, I was using the call center, as a ministry, because when you dealt with students, you had to wear so many hats. You weren't just an advisor. Sometimes you were a counselor and things like that. And I felt like it was my way of saying, God, okay, now, as long as I'm here, I want to use this opportunity to do the best I can to help people out the way I wasn't helped out. So when I do leave this job, I can say that I gave back to Liberty, no matter how many letters they send me to donate to the school, because during it, I spent enough money at that university. You are good from me. And plus, I made y'all a crap ton of money working in that call center, getting people to sign up for classes. And that was another reason I quit. I didn't get paid enough. So, yeah, with that being said, you know, I felt like that was a way for me to do ministry stuff right there. But at the same time, I'm glad I'm doing my own thing now. So, climb and maintain. I could have stayed in that job, benefits, you know, stable, not a stable job, but at the same, I mean, it was a steady job as long as you stayed there. But in terms of being stable within the office, no, it wasn't. But in terms of a steady paycheck and benefits, that would have been it. But sometimes you got to get off of that steady ground because you get too comfortable. You got to climb and maintain. You don't know if you're going to fall, but you just got to climb. And I really loved it. So let me just stop. I feel like I've gone on long enough. I feel like my darn video is as long as the sermon itself. So check out the link. Tyler Perry, that was a great sermon. Joel Osteen, great video. Church looks great. Like I said before, controversial stuff in the media, but I don't really know about your church and all myself, so I'm not going to judge. All I can say is I enjoyed the video. You should check it out. Maybe it'll give you a new perspective on how to look at Tyler Perry.